testimony. Take 99. Action.
Action. Wait, is it cut or action?
So we are giving our testimonies.
Yeah.
We want to share with you where we've been,
where
we are today, and where God is taking us. We just want to share a little piece of His love, grace, mercy that He saw fit to grace us with, and we're super excited to share. We are real people who are going through real things, who have encountered some seriously real things, and God has brought us out of our mess, and He's turned our test into a testimony.
Come on. And it's His story.
That's
Get
right.
it? Like His story. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I thought that was cool. I saw that on somebody's page one day. But yeah, so we're just going to share something brief. It's nothing big and extravagant. It's not going to be long-winded. Where we were and where we're at today and where we're trying to go. God is, I believe, always doing a great work within both of us. And we just want to let you guys in and show you guys what He's doing and where He's taking us and where this channel is going in the future. So we hope that you guys have fun, and we want you to be immersed. Peace.
Okay, so I am really excited today. Today is Testimony Day. It's so funny because I went through a year program for drug and alcohol addiction called Walter Hoving Home, and we used to give our testimonies when we go on choir outings. And I would be so nervous to get up there, and I would cry and all those different emotions. But I think, you know, what I want to share today is the testimony of God's grace, the testimony of God's victory, the testimony of joy in my life today. Yes, I'm going to share about my past, but I really wanted to share about what God can do. I think that's the most powerful thing, is what God can do. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet and try to get to the point. Sometimes I beat around the bush, so I'm going to try and be really direct. As you know, we are the Grants. We weren't always these Christians that were following God, that had a heart after God. We have a past. Myself, I grew up in Las Vegas, Sin City, right? I did everything that you can imagine, every drug that you can imagine. I've tried it. Anything that goes along with sin, if you can imagine that lifestyle, I did it. I tried it. I had no morals. I had no values. I just kind of let myself go with the wind. I had no self-worth. I didn't know where my identity lied. I just kind of, like I said, I let the world tell me who I was. I let the world tell me I was too fat. I let the world tell me, you know, who my identity was. And with that, especially living in a town like Las Vegas, it is so vain, right? Because you're constantly trying to keep up with the Joneses and Louis Vuitton and Coach and all these different, you know, name brands and different things, and that flashy lifestyle. And I think my whole addiction ultimately started with, I just wanted to be loved, right? As most, you know, men and women, we just want to be loved. We want to be liked. And my first addiction was towards, I would say, wanting to, people pleasing was a huge addiction for me. I mean, we're talking like way young. People pleasing was a huge addiction. And then it just kind of spiraled. I broke up with my first boyfriend. I had gained all this weight being on birth control, and I broke up with my first boyfriend, and it was so heartbroken, so devastated, so not worth it. And I had watched this Oprah Winfrey show on bulimia, and this girl was talking about how she got skinny, and of course, like I said, you know, keeping up with the Joneses in Las Vegas, I just wanted to be skinny. So my next addiction was bulimia. When I really dove into that, I was 18 years old, and I mean, I was purging after every meal. It was just a horrible spiral, and that was my second addiction. My third addiction was alcohol. I really started that party lifestyle. This started even younger, that party lifestyle, but I think I really dove into it when I was around 18, and kind of numbing the pain of everything, of not knowing who I was, not graduating high school, being overweight, not being loved, not being worth it. You know, I dove into alcohol, and alcohol just opened like a whole slew of stuff. You know, anything from marijuana to meth to, and I had this thought in my mind that I could try anything once, right? But, you know, as we all know, with some drugs, once is one too many. You know, so like I said, anything from marijuana to crystal meth to, anything in between, mushrooms, any drug that you can think of that's out there. I have tried it and mixed with another drug. I've tried, you know, prescription drugs. I was addicted to prescription drugs. Xanax was one of my huge addictions. And then I found heroin, you know, so that was kind of where my life took a complete detour down, you know, this crazy path that I never thought I would go. Ridiculous, like the stealing and the lying and the sickness and everything that goes with that lifestyle. I was just so sick. My heart was just so sick, and I was so lost. And like I told you, I went into a program called Walter Hovingholm, and it really saved my life. I don't want to say the program saved my life, but Jesus saved my life through that program. I gave my heart to Jesus. I surrendered everything. I was like, you know what? If this lifestyle that I was living under a park bench. By the time I went into Walter Hovingholm, I was a heroin addict living under a park bench. So I was willing to try anything, something that was different. So when God, I don't want to say when God found me, but when I opened my heart to God, my whole life changed. And God found me right where I was at. Like He didn't wait till I was like pristine and perfect. He saw me under that park bench. He saw me as a heroin addict, and He had sent His Son so that I could have a new life, so I could be a new creation. Like the God of this universe saw little old me under this park bench, and I had done it to myself. No one did that to me. I chose that lifestyle. And God chose me. Like, it's just the most amazing love story. And so went through the year program, Walter Hovingholm, and went and did an internship. I completed my program, went and did an internship in Virginia with Shenandoah Valley Teen Challenge. I was supposed to stay 1 year, ended up staying, I think, close to I think it was close to 4 years. Through that program, they have like an emerging leaders program is what it's called. And once a year they go to Georgia and they hold like this huge conference, and we go out and we do service work, and then they hold this huge event where all these people come and they're worshiping God, and it's people who don't know Jesus, it's people who know Jesus. They hold it like right on the river. So anyways, we went to this conference and we were having like a worship session. This is before we even went out on the river. We were having a worship session, and I remember seeing Robert, my husband, and he was like illuminated. It was like the strangest thing. He's like illuminated, and I'm like standing there and I'm like worshiping. I'm like, this is so weird. And I see him, and it like stuck in my mind, but I didn't really think anything of it. And so I went home, and this is after the conference. I went home and I just added all the faces that I had met, all the faces I had seen. I was like, I just want to connect with other Christians who are on fire for Jesus. And Robert was one of them. So, long story short, Robert and I met on Facebook. Like, it's the craziest love story. We met on Facebook and connected and started talking. We built this long distance relationship. I only had met him once before he decided to move down to Virginia himself and work for Shenandoah Valley Teen Challenge. And he proposed like as soon as he moved down. So we had built this relationship over a year and a half, long distance. I had met him once, but I knew that was the man that God had chose for me. And no matter what anyone said around me, oh, he's an ex-addict, oh, he's, no matter what naysayers I had in my life, I knew that that's who God had chose for me. Of course, I had lots of support, but also, there's always those people who question, two addicts being together. But Robert and I truly believe that when you are a new creation and you've surrendered your life to Christ and you are living for Christ, you are a new creation. Like the old is gone, the new has come. That's what the word says. And we stand on that and we believe that. And yeah, so now we're living in Florida. We worked for Shenandoah Valley Teen Challenge. I think Robert works there a year, and I have been there 4 years. And we had our baby, and we were like, oh my gosh, we really wanted to give the ministry 100%, and we wanted to give our son 100%. And it's so hard to do both. I know a lot of couples can do it and do it, but for me, it was a constant struggle of the balance. And everything that goes into ministry, like you pour your heart and soul into Teen Challenge, and I was like doing 50-50. It was like my son was getting 50 and Teen Challenge was getting 50, and I was like, this is not fair to either. So we picked up and we moved to Florida where my husband's family lives, and we are thriving Christians. Like we're not just churchgoers. Like we really love Jesus. We are those people that, you know, we get up in the morning.
Who's the house?
One of the first things we do besides get our adorable little son is we go and we read our word. We sit beside each other. You know, Josiah crawls up in our lap. Oh, here's Josiah.
Josiah's in the house.
Say hi. Say hello. And then, hi. And then we read our word, and we are just so in love with Jesus, so on fire for Jesus. And we do our best to live like Jesus. Jesus in every area of our lives. And yeah, say hello. That lifestyle is just so far-fetched these days, because when you're living for Jesus, you don't even think about that type of stuff. You know, that stuff, it doesn't even cross your mind. But we have such a heart for other people who are lost in their addiction or lost in their eating disorder, or, you know, even for people who have never struggled with any of that but don't know Jesus. Like we have such a heart for it, and such a passion for it. So here we are today. We're like plugged into our church. It's called Christ Central here in Lake City, Florida, which is like out in the middle of nowhere, but God has called us here for a season, and we're kind of like, I say out in the middle of nowhere, but when we were living in Virginia, we were like really out in the middle of nowhere. So this is like a step up as far as that goes. But we are still in a very rural area. But we know, you know, I think it was our pastor that said, you know, we can ask, why did God bring you to Lake City? Well, because you have something that Lake City doesn't have, right? And so as far as we're concerned, our job is to bring the love of Christ into Lake City, encountering everyone that we meet. We want to bring the love of Jesus. And yeah, thank you so much for letting me share my testimony. I didn't cry, which is so good, because I am so joyful about where God has me today, where God has my husband today, and the testimony that bears of God's love, grace, mercy, and what a good father he is. He's such a good father. And this little bundle of joy that we have, like he is such a testimony on itself. Like I didn't even think I could have kids. And I told Robert that before we got married, and God blessed us with this sweet little angel. And yeah, we are just so excited. Thank you again for letting me share my testimony. Remember, nothing is impossible with God. The scripture, my life scripture that I stand on is, blessed is she who has believed that what the Lord has said to her will be accomplished. And gosh, here we go with the addresses again. It's Luke. I want to say that one is Luke 1:45. Oh, I got that one right. It's Luke 1:45. But that is the scripture that I stand on for my life. Because what God says, it will come to pass. So again, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for being allowed to share. And say bye-bye. Say bye. Say bless you. Mwah. In Jesus' name. Thanks. Have a good day.
Get those cookies out of there.
Okay. So, I'm here tonight to give you guys my testimony. My wife gave her testimony.
He can't talk. 104. Wait, did we already do 104? I don't know. We're up there.
Alright. Are you recording still?
Hmm?
Alright, hopefully Hopefully I got it this time. My name's Rob, and I'm going to share with you guys my testimony tonight. I was raised in South Florida by my grandmother for as long as I know. When I was a little boy, I didn't grow up with my mom or my dad. They got into some trouble themselves and did some things in their past that I'm pretty sure they had regretted, and don't know where my dad is at this time, but my mom is a new creation today. She loves the Lord and is in a relationship with me, and I thank her so much for being such an inspiration and wonderful example of the love of Christ and how she pours into so many different individuals on a day-to-day basis, and it's inspired me to walk in that same love and passion for individuals as she does on a day-to-day basis. So anyways, shout out to you, Mom. Love you. But anyways, I grew up in a place where one loved one another. I wasn't in a bad neighborhood or anything like that. Didn't grow up in the hood or anything like that. There was some places where I did hang out that was worse than others, but as far as I know, and how my grandmother raised me, she raised me with manners. She raised me with respect, and she did the best that she could as a single woman to give me everything that I ever wanted, or to guide and lead me in the right direction. But needless to say, I didn't listen so much to what she wanted me to do. I kind of lived my own life. I went out and smoked marijuana. I popped pills, and I started to drink and just do and live in a lifestyle that was contrary to what I knew I was raised up to be. Didn't get raised up in a church or anything like that, but she just had great morals. She had a good head on her shoulder, and she's no longer with us. It's a sad thought to know that she's no longer with us, because she was just such a great inspiration to me. But it allowed me to really look at things from a different perspective when she died and passed away. I went on a downward spiral. My addiction got worse. Things got chaotic. I was in and out of jail, and I had no hope. By this time, I knew that I needed to change something about my life. I knew that I needed to seek something greater than myself, because I became my own idol. I became my own God, if you will. And I thought that everything revolved around me, and that I was going to conquer the world. And if you weren't with me, then get from around me. That was the type of mentality that I had when I lost my grandmother, because she was my best friend. And so I ended up going to this program called Teen Challenge, Year Men's discipleship program. And I gave my life to the Lord there. Ended up going through a year program within the program, which was a internship called ELP, Emerging Leaders Program. It was a great program. Learned some great concepts. Learned how to be a leader to myself, as well as being a leader to others. And had so many great encounters with God in the books that I got to read through that program. But I also had the opportunity to go to one of their conferences that was held in Alabama. And at this conference, I was still an intern at this time, or a student. Didn't graduate the program quite yet, but just about, a couple months down the line, I was going to be graduating the program. And I was just so in awe of all these different believers that came together and that were a part of Teen Challenge, and how we got to worship with one another, how we got to serve with one another, and go out on this mission called Take the City, which is a really, really big thing now. I mean, it was small when it started with this gentleman by the name of Andrew Chambers, and now it's just exploded, which is awesome. It's amazing to see what God is doing through that individual, and he's so anointed. Take the City, check them out. It's a great movement. But as far as all of that stuff goes, I got to come back from my center, or come back from the conference, and A couple months passed by, and I graduated, and I went to go to my mom's for a couple weeks because I was gonna come back and intern for Sanford Teen Challenge for a little while. And as I went through my my little vacation, and I was talking to my mom, I got to get on Facebook. It was like my dream to be back on Facebook again, because I've been detached from the world for over a year. No cell phone, no internet, no nothing. So got on Facebook, and I started to add new people that I met through the Emerging Leader program and through the conference, and Danielle happened to be one of them. And it was so weird and strange because my intentions wasn't to build a relationship with her on that level, but I did want to gain a relationship with people, just to have godly individuals to be surrounded by godly individuals and people that were serving the Lord, and not those that were serving in the world. And so she messaged me, and it was weird because like I gave her a personal message. I was like, hey, it was cool to meet you, so on and so forth. I hope to get to talk to you again soon. It was like awkward. Like there was no response. There was nothing. I was like, okay, well maybe I creeped this girl out. I don't know what I said that was wrong. And she didn't respond to anything. So I was just like, okay, well maybe I just need to like remove her as a friend. So like a week or two later, she ends up like responding. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry for the delay. I'm just swamped as an intern up here. There's so much work that we have to do, so on and so forth. And I was like, okay, cool. That's awesome. So she's like, you know what? Rather than you personal messaging me, why don't you just give me a call? So I gave her a call, and we started talking. And it was so weird because I felt like as if I knew her for so many years. Like we were like long lost friends, if you will. And I knew on the third day when I spoke to her on the phone, after speaking to her for like 3 hours a day, I told her I loved her, which was like the weirdest thing. I was shocked when I said it. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I think I love this girl. So I told her, like, I was just bold, and like I just had like so much courage at that moment. And I was just like, you know what? I love this girl. So I was like, I'm going to tell her. So I said, I love you. And like, if you're a man, please don't do that. Like that was probably just like a God thing at that moment. But don't just go around saying that you love some girl after the third day of talking to him on the phone, because that doesn't always end up being what you may think it's supposed to be. But for my circumstance and situation, it ended up being that, because we're married now, and I'm thankful for that. But I told my mom, and my mom was like, no, you're not going to marry that girl. You're in your hormones. You guys don't even know each other. How could you love somebody that you don't even know? I was like, Mom, I know that I know that I know. She's like, you need to go to your room and you need to pray. So I went to my room that day and I prayed, and I got up the next morning. I was like, Mom, I'm going to marry that girl. And so lo and behold, I ended up marrying my wife. And as you know, she shared with you the story of how she saw and encountered me, and how she said that there was this awesome glow and halo around me, which was absolutely amazing, because I would love to have seen that myself from a perspective that she had. But just what God is doing in our marriage and in our relationship, it's absolutely amazing. He's taken both of us from addiction, from bondage, from slavery, from this world, and has given us a lifestyle, has given us a life with our son Josiah, and a marriage that is founded on him and built on him. And to be able to use this channel and this network, social media, to give hope to other couples and those that are single, those that are courting, and to guide and direct them, because we had so many different hardships, and we still are going through difficulties in our marriage today. We don't have a perfect marriage. We might have joy and we might have peace, but that's Christ that dwells within us. It's not us. We decrease and he increases. And I just wanted to kind of like let you guys in before we really dive into what this channel is really all about, and really get you guys immersed into the fundamental principles and just the love of God, and what God wants for singles, and what he wants for couples, and marriage in general. And so I just thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us. I thank you guys for subscribing to our channel and liking our page. If you have comments, if you have any questions, please leave them at the link or on the page below, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you. God bless you. We love you, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.